I know you're wondering, where's the comparison? Why am I even talking about Tesla versus Innoson? They are worlds apart. So when you're wondering, where is the comparison? They are not even in the same universe. But I am not analyzing this from a manufacturer's perspective. I'm analyzing this from a consumer's perspective. That's the backbone of this analysis. So work with me is from the consumer's point of view. I support anything that's homegrown. Yes, Innoson is not comparable to Tesla, but at least it's homegrown. Someone is making an effort. Something that started as a motorcycle parts business is now the only homegrown car manufacturer in Nigeria. So we got to give them a little bit of credit for that. The potential is there, obviously, but there are challenges, not just from a manufacturing standpoint, but also from a consumer perception standpoint. And most importantly, a consumer adoption, widespread adoption standpoint. So before I go into the consumer's aspect, let's talk a little bit about Tesla and a little bit about Innoson. Granted, I don't own either vehicles, but I have test driven a Tesla. I was even at one point when I was considering buying a vehicle as of about a year and a half ago, Tesla was on the top of my list. And I went to their showroom, I talked to them, I test drove the Tesla, but decided ultimately that I should buy a Ford F-150 because of the line of work that I was doing, which required a lot of traveling, on the road traveling, and also I needed space to be able to put stuff in the back of my truck. So I chose to go with a Ford F-150 over a Tesla. Okay, so now we'll look at a company like Tesla that's been around for over 20 years, one of the most patented brands on earth. As of 2024, Tesla has over 2,300 global patents. That's really where the opportunity is with Tesla. They have patents on technology. They have patents on electric vehicles. They have patents on solar. They have patents for days, whereas Innoson does not. I don't even think that there's any public information on Innoson's patents. I doubt that they have any. So when you look at a company like Tesla that manufactures based on their patents, global patents, is a whole lot different from Innoson that depends on local manufacturing. Like some of their parts on their vehicles are locally manufactured, others are imported in from countries like China, Japan. And then what Innoson does as a manufacturer, they bring in all of these car parts and they assemble them at their facility in Anambra State. I saw recently that they're moving into EVs, electric vehicles, which I mean, that is a very, very tough space to be in. A very, very, very. You look at the Ford Lightning, what's supposed to be like the electrical version of the Ford F-150 combustible. But I know that Ford Motor Company is struggling to build the electric version of the F-150, let alone Innoson. So I feel like Innoson moving into the electrical space without widespread adoption of their combustible vehicle is an overreach. It really, really is an overreach. The ambition is there. You can't knock the ambition. But when you have a consumer base that has not even adopted fully your combustible engine vehicles, and then you're moving into the electric vehicle space, it's ambitious. I'm not saying it's not going to work, but it's going to be tough. One of the issues that Innoson faces in Nigeria is just the lack of incentives for consumers. Consumers are not incentivized at all to buy Innoson cars, either by Innoson himself or by the federal government. And in order for consumers to be incentivized to buy, the federal government has to incentivize Innoson Motors to continue making their cars locally. I was either online, I don't know where I saw the video, but Tinubu, the president of Nigeria, recently traveled, came back to Nigeria, and he was picked up at the airport, at his private airport, in a United States made Cadillac Escalade. You're talking about federal officials moving around in foreign cars. When the federal government doesn't even believe, that's usually the way it starts. It starts from the top and then it trickles down. When the federal government doesn't even believe in homegrown vehicle enough to drive them, what makes you think the average citizen is going to adopt? When the federal government has not even adopted. So consumers are looking at this. Why am I going to buy an Innoson car when our elected officials are moving around in Cadillac Escalades and Mercedes Benzes and BMWs? So adoption has to start from a consumer's perspective. Adoption has to start from the top. Yes, you can argue that you don't really see US officials driving around in a Tesla, but you see them in unassuming Fords. When I was in the US Army, for those who don't know, I was in the US Army for 3 years. And when we had to move about for function, whether we had to go and do something or move around town, move around the city, we are issued a Ford vehicle, homegrown, American-made Ford. That is what the United States, as of that time, I'm talking about the late 90s to early 2000s. I don't know what they drive now, but all of the fleet in the United States Army at that time were Ford Motors. But in our case in Nigeria, government officials, elected officials are still driving foreign cars. How can you then expect the average citizen to drive a locally made vehicle? Consumers are just, we don't know. I personally, other than Innoson being a homegrown car, and yes, I'm based abroad, so my point of view could be different from local people, but I don't really know much about it. There really isn't a national marketing campaign that pushes Innoson Motors into the minds of local consumers. Innoson has to be able to differentiate themselves as a viable company, but I still don't know what their unique value, what is Innoson's real value to the market? It's unclear to the average consumer. Because imported vehicles are still cheaper. For the price of a brand new Innoson car, you could import a reliable Mercedes-Benz, a reliable Toyota. Not saying Innoson Motors is not reliable, but I'm just saying in a culture that is dependent on imports for over 60 something years, and then you have a local hero, a local brand like Innoson Motors out there trying to. I don't even think that Innoson is really making a dent. I've seen a couple of their cars or their trucks in Nigeria. Where is the angle? Where is the market entry angle here? I feel like they are doing way too much. From sedans to, I was on their website and I'm looking at vehicles, Innoson cars that look like the Mercedes G-Wagon. You're not going to win based on design similarities alone. This kind of I liken it to when there's a vehicle. Golly, I forget the brand. This was like around 2004. Very similar design to if you guys know it, I think it's like the 300M, like the Chrysler 300M is what it is. I remember back then in 2004, it was very, very similar to the Bentley. It was a poor man's Bentley in the US. I rented, drove a little bit here and there. There was a little bit of like celebrity adoption. I think like Snoop Dogg had one, some local celebrities back then in 2004 had some. Where's the Chrysler 300M today? Or the Chrysler 300 today? You just can't wait on copying designs alone. Chrysler has since gone back to just being a regular affordable vehicle. I think that could be an angle for Innoson. Become an everyday car for the everyday Nigerian, or an everyday car brand for the everyday Nigerian. Strategic partnerships with government agencies. People have to see that the local elected officials at the local government level, state level, federal level are confidently driving Innoson cars. Strategic partnerships with the government. So in that way, indirectly, the government, these strategic partnerships become like a brand ambassador for Innoson Motors. And Innoson needs patents. You gotta have patents. You just can't be an assembler of vehicle parts and then once that is done, you put your logo on it and say, okay, bam, this is my brand. You don't have any patents. Where are your patents? Make those patents known. The way Tesla has a patent, over 2,300 patents since 2004, 2003. How many does Innoson has? None. There's not even really a widespread local adoption. So my question then is, how is Innoson making their money? Can they really export a car brand that is unpatented? Where are all the crash tests to show that an Innoson car is safe? Consumers need to see this. Yes, I see occasionally you see the owner of Innoson Motors online, in the news, and it seems like every time that I see him, he's always talking about needing government support. I need a loan. I need this. I need that. I have never truly seen the guy talk directly to consumers. If you're unable to reach a partnership deal with the government, start speaking directly to consumers. This is why I think you should choose us over importing a used vehicle from the US or Europe. We are safer, we are more affordable. For every brand new car that you buy, we will incentivize you. You'll get to save millions. But there really isn't any of that happening. And I feel like just the sheer expansion into the luxury space. You're expanding into buses. Now you're expanding into EVs, electrical vehicles. Where in Nigeria do you see charging stations? When we are still, and that's kind of one of the reasons why I didn't choose the Tesla too, was it's not as if that we have a lot of charging stations here to where you can go and charge your car. Where are Nigerians? Roads are bad. They can barely get petrol fuel at the gas station. Where is Innoson Motors going to put all of these charging stations for their electric vehicles? When the average Nigerian can't even afford 3 square meals a day. The average Nigerian doesn't even own their own home. Are you going to put a charging port in an apartment complex? You also have to think of security. How are you going to secure these charging stations? Before you start rolling out electric vehicles, these are the things that you have to consider. Because Tesla has made gains, for sure, in the US. I think like every 20 miles or so, every 50 miles or so, there's enough charging station in place where if you are low, if your battery is low, you know, okay, in the next 20 miles or so with the technology that they have patented, that's going to show you where the charging stations are so you can plan your trip accordingly. We don't have 24/7, we don't have stable energy in Nigeria. How are we then going to power technology? These are all of the questions that are in the minds of consumers in Nigeria. Again, Innoson is fine. They're a local hero. They are definitely brave to be able to launch a local brand that we all can be proud of. But I just don't see all of these foundational infrastructures in place that's going to convince me to buy an Innoson car. Not saying that they're not safe. I don't know. Because I'm not seeing the crash tests. I'm not seeing all these reports as a consumer. I'm not seeing the advertising as a consumer. That's going to convince me to leave an F-150 and go buy an Innoson version of an F-150 truck. There's so much to do. One of the toughest things you could do is to change consumer behavior. Very, very, very tough. Multinational brands spend billions of dollars to be able to get consumers to switch from what they know to a possible maybe. It's like you're switching from a for sure to a maybe. Tesla has done a great job convincing people that EVs are the future. I remember in 2004, I was in college in 2004, and I remember vividly back then when Elon used to say, electric vehicle. I mean, you're talking about the era of the Hummer, the H2 Hummer, the H3 Hummer back then, these gas guzzlers. And someone just comes out of the shadows and starts saying, oh, I'm the CEO of an electric car company. We were all laughing. I mean, I remember being in college saying, there is no way that people are going to leave gas-powered vehicles and start driving cars powered by electric cars. Fast forward 2024. I don't have this research, but I think Elon Musk's Tesla Motors probably in the top 5 car brands on the planet. Widespread adoption, and it started in Silicon Valley. Once the tech geeks said, okay, this is cool to own, it started from there. And it started filtering through into the homes of just normal people. It started in Silicon Valley. It started with the tech geeks. It started with the niche cult audience. Where is the niche cult audience for Innoson Motors? Before you start going around and expanding and spreading yourself wide, where is that one niche audience that Innoson Motors could say, these guys said it's okay to drive our cars? A niche audience could be taxi drivers. A niche audience could be traders. Maybe start with a truck. A niche audience could just be bankers. Like, get some group of people to say that it's okay. That was what really launched Tesla. Because technologists said it was okay. And now you see the cyber trucks on the road now, which I actually think is pretty cool. But I don't see myself buying a cyber truck. I like them. I think they're cool. I've never test driven one. But you see them on the road, they look solid. And then you go on their website, Tesla's website, and you check the accessories page. He's selling accessories for the Cybertruck. He's selling accessories for the Model 3s. We've got car accessories for the Model X's. What accessories is Innoson? He's in a good space. Don't get me wrong. But I think he has decades to go in order for there to be some sort of, and I'm not even talking about widespread adoption, I'm talking about just sort of adoption. But you can't have adoption without incentives. You can't. And exporting, Innoson, is he exporting? I don't know. If you're you have to be able to convince Nigerians to, Nigerians are one of the hardest people you can convince to do something. If you can't convince your own people to adopt your product, how are you going to convince the Ghanaians? Or the Togolese? Or neighboring African countries to adopt the product when people at home have not even adopted it? Like I said, not comparing manufacturer to manufacturer because they are not even in the same universe. But I'm just saying, as a locally made, locally owned car brand, there's one or two things Innoson can learn from Tesla. Because when Tesla started, nobody believed him or believed them. Same thing with Innoson. The average Nigerian just does not believe Innoson. But you look at Tesla's offerings, they don't have too many products that they're offering. They got the Roadster, they got the Model 3, that's the Model X, and you can count maybe on one hand. They have to master these vehicles, master them. But Innoson is all over the map. They've got cars, they've got trucks, they've got buses, they've got EVs. They're all over the map. They're doing way too much when they could have just focused on one product, one or two products, get adoption on those before expanding. You look at companies like Rivian, car brand. You see, when car brands like this are popping up and they are competing against the legacies, I'm talking about new generation car brands like Rivian that just got a $6.6 billion loan from the US government. And then you've got, not Innoson, you've got Tesla, 20-year-old brand, still relatively new. And they're competing against legacies like Ford, Chevy, Cadillac. It's a good thing. It's a really good thing. But when you look at Rivian, they have the SUV and they have the truck. And you don't see them doing buses and vehicles are different. This is not just some an everyday goods that you're buying and selling. People are behind these cars. They're driving them. They're hauling their families in them. Let's even add that family aspect to it. I want to feel comfortable moving in a vehicle that I know is safe for my wife and daughters. I, as a consumer, just feel that Innoson has the potential to someday become a car that you would see the average Nigerian driving. But here's another thing that he's doing too. He's calling for the banning of imports, car imports. You're not gonna, just because if the government bans importation of cars, it's not gonna make me buy yours. It's not. I'm just gonna find a way around it. So you see him online, instead of him talking to consumers, I want to see you talk to consumers. Try to win over consumers instead of trying to get car imports banned. Or you are always, and when you see him, he's always online complaining about one thing or the other. Just do your thing, man. Do your thing based on your own capabilities. I feel that the effort and the investments that's put into EVs can be used to put into maybe the original Innoson vehicle. You definitely needed a truck in your lineup. Definitely need a truck. Come on in. Come on, Jeanette. Dad is doing a video.
Breakfast is ready.
Breakfast is ready. Wanna come say hi? Come here. Come say hi. Come show everyone your hair and your earrings.
Hi.
Good morning.
Hi, I'm Jeanette.
You want to talk about your earrings?
My grandma and grandpa got these earrings for me.
I like this.
It's a headband.
You're so pretty. I like your dress too.
It's a rainbow one.
Yeah. All right. Give me 5 minutes, okay?
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean? You want me to wrap up the video? Oh, I think I hear your sister. I think I hear Nelly. Nelly.
Mommy.
Well, how about you? Come on, say hi. Ah. All right. Say hi. These are my kids. Nelly's going to be 3 on December 30th, and Jeanette just turned 6. Nelly, say hi to everybody.
I'm going to be 7 on October 19th.
We're going to be 7?
On October
Oh,
19th.
Jeanette, you just turned 6 though.
And I go to Don Nanny tomorrow.
Don Nanny is our daycare provider for Nelly.
And I even got
And Jeanette is in kindergarten.
And my teacher's name is Miss Flair.
Miss Freya is your teacher.
And Emma and Millie and those guys is my friend.
Oh, yeah. All right, girls. Let's say goodbye to our viewers. My name is Rich and Barricat.
Bye.
Hey, ask the viewers to subscribe to the channel.
Ask the reviewer.
No. Say, please subscribe.
Please subscribe on this video.
Please subscribe to the video.
All right. Nelly and Jeanette and myself are asking you guys to subscribe. Thanks for watching this clip. Breakfast is ready. Nelly's yawning, even though it's morning. We just woke up and you're yawning. Are you tired? Already? All right. Have a wonderful day, everyone. I'll catch you guys later. But just think about what I said. Post questions and comments. How can the Nigerian public adopt Innoson motors? What can Innoson motors do better?
Daddy, we want to go now.
And yes, we're gonna go now. And if the executives of Innoson Motors are watching this,
Say something.
what's your message to them?
Can I say something?
Yes, say something.
And make sure and maybe if there's a quiz, maybe you can maybe if you get all the quizzes what Daddy said.
To also say something.
Okay, Nelly, say something.
So, Daddy said bring oil booty butt.